And today we're going to tackle one of the biggest problems small business owners face. Hello, my friends. My name is Michael Bridgman. You are in the Marketing Wizard's Inner Circle. And today we're going to tackle one of the biggest problems small business owners face. If you are here, my friend, then you are a small business owner and you want to accomplish big things. And that's what the Marketing Wizard's Inner Circle is all about. Now, today, though, we're going to dive into something that isn't necessarily just marketing. We spend a lot of the time on this channel talking about marketing and the ins and outs of it, but today I want to help you tackle something that is probably standing in your way from getting exactly what you want to get done. This is one of the biggest hurdles that I see with my coaching and consulting clients, is that they bang into this problem over and over again, and that is productivity. If you're struggling right now to go from where you are to where you'd love to be, then I would bet dollars to donuts, my friend, that getting more productive, in other words, being more efficient with your time, is one of the key elements that needs to happen for you in order to get to where you want to go. Because here's the thing, my friends. You went into business because you wanted to own your own time, didn't you? You wanted the flexibility, the freedom, the power of controlling your schedule, dictating what you do, and living a lifestyle that isn't just putting in time into the clock over and over and over again. But what happens is we start our businesses, we get rocking and rolling, we're really excited, we go gung-ho for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years even for some of us. And then we're realizing that, man, this is just another job. Like, this is just another 40, 50, 60, 70-hour work week gig. And now I'm on this hamster wheel and I can't get off of it. And you know why, my friends? Because getting productive was never a part of the equation to begin with. And so it never became a part of your habits. And I'm here to tell you, after building multiple companies and at this moment owning multiple companies and still having plenty of time to be at home with my little ones, because I've got a 4.5-year-old and an 11-month-old at home, and I love to spend time with them. Even after having done that, like wanting those things and having 2 companies, I still spend way less time working than a lot of my full-time employee friends. And the reason is because I lean into productivity. Now, I'm not saying don't work hard. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying look into the things that really move the needle for you. Find those dominoes that tip over a whole series of other things. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to get more productive. We're not going to talk about the specifics of you because I don't know you, right? I don't know you yet, but I'm going to talk about some of the tactics, some of the strategies. I'm going to give you 5 different sort of tactics and strategies that I've used, that people who I've consulted with and coached have used, and people that have coached me have given me over the course of the last several years to help me get to where I am. And I want to share these with you today because someone shared some of these with me. Some of them I discovered on my own. Some of them I kind of crafted out of on my own. But the fact of the matter is that the wisdom is passed down, and it's our job to forward that over. So what I want to do here is dive into these 5 different things. Okay. So these are all going to be elements that help you get more productive. They help you get more juice out of the orange of your day. They're going to help you squeeze more out. Okay. And so we're going to start with number 1, which is time chunking. Okay. Time chunking. They did a study a few years ago about these things. Okay. They did a study a few years ago about these things, and they realized that the average person checks their email well over 50 times a day. 50 times a day they check their email. Okay. And because it's so convenient to do it. And what winds up happening is they take 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to get distracted. You add that up, my friends, 50 times a day times, we'll just say 3 minutes, is 150 minutes you're falling into your phone to check your email. And a lot of us, like me, we got multiple emails, right? So we got to check them all. And our phone pings and we go and we check it, right? 150 minutes. That's 2.5 hours of your day getting distracted into your phone, checking your email. Let that sink in a moment. 2.5 hours of your day. What could you do with an extra 2 hours? I don't know. People are like, oh, but I need to be on my email. Like I've got clients messaging me back and forth, and you know the speed of response. I'm going to get to that in a second. But the fact of the matter is, you don't need to be there. If you keep leaning into that belief, you're already stuck. Okay, I'm challenging you today to go, what are my habits and how can I improve? Not these are my habits and I'm stuck with them. If that's where you want to be, then my friends, this ain't your channel. Okay, switch YouTube channels right now if that's what you believe. But you can change, you can evolve, you can get better. As I love to say, you are both the sculptor and the clay in your life. So now it's time to chisel out the exact version of you you'd love to be. And that probably isn't spending 2.5 hours a day checking your email. And you might think that's nuts, but I'm telling you right now, the amount of time we get distracted by that thing. And let's just broaden the scope here for a second, because this was a study that was done about 4 years ago and it's based on email. Now let's talk about text messages, Facebook Messenger, like WhatsApp groups that we're in, Slack, all of these messaging tools, they're all designed to grab our attention. So even if it's not just email, my friends, maybe it's just getting distracted by messages on your phone 50 times a day for approximately 3 minutes is 150 minutes a day. That's 2.5 hours. So let's talk about time chunking. So one of the first things when I bring on a consulting client, even though we focus on marketing, like that's one of our primary goals with my company, we always talk about how they're using their time. Because they want to get maximum value out of our service and what it is that we do, then they've got to be maximizing the value of their own time. So I talk about chunking out their time. I talk about the idea that, okay, look, if you're going to respond to messages, give yourself a 30-minute window 2 times a day where you respond to these messages. And that's it. Don't look at your phone. Don't do it. Like if it's an emergency, that's one thing, but ultimately don't look at it. Don't be bothered by it. Don't be distracted by it. Right? So time chunk. Take a look at your schedule and go, this is the chunk of time I'm going to dedicate to these particular types of tasks. And I tend to group tasks together. So responding to email and messages, I do those things at only specific intervals throughout the day. And people know this from me. They know this working with me, right? They go, okay, I've sent Michael a message. He's not going to respond until probably 11 o'clock his time in the morning, because that's when he checks his messages. Because my morning is dedicated to where I'm going and my children, my family, right? So ultimately, that's a real key, okay? Time chunk. And if you own multiple companies like I do, or you're doing multiple projects, what I find is a lot of people, they'll do 30 minutes on a company, or they'll do 45 minutes or 2 hours, and then they get distracted to do something else. Man, if you're going to be doing that, chunk it up. Like go, okay, I'm planning out content. This is a 3-hour block of time where that's all I'm doing to plan out my content for the next 6 to 8 weeks. That's all I'm doing. I'm not getting distracted by these other things. So chunk out your time and build that right into your schedule. So that's tip number 1, time chunk things and don't allow these major distractions. Okay. Tip number 2, discover your peak productivity hours. You and I are different beasts. Okay. We're different people, but you want to get amazing things done, right? I have found that my peak productivity hours are all AM. Like in flat out honesty, once it hits about 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I am a find me a patio, find me a beer, let's relax kind of person a lot of the time. And not, obviously that's not every day, but ultimately my productivity goes down in the afternoon. It's just natural. That's my circadian rhythm. It's probably because I like to get up between 4 and 5 a.m., but that's when my productivity goes down. So tasks that I do later on in the afternoon, I know that I need to involve other people for me personally. I need to bring other people in. I get energized by other people when it's in the afternoon. In the morning, I'm totally good being self-motivated. In the afternoon, if there's other people there that I have to engage with, so I'll schedule some of my trickiest meetings. I'll schedule some of those things in the afternoon because I want to be sharp. I don't want to be snoozy. So I tend to take my energy level up. right? But I know my peak creativity periods, my peak optimism periods, my peak periods for doing client work or evolving my own company are all in the morning. So I encourage you to discover your peak productivity periods. And when are they? And when can you put your creativity cap on? Now, one little caveat to this. There's a bunch of studies that have shown that approximately 3 hours after you wake up is when your mind for the next 90 minutes to 2 hours is probably operating at its optimal. It's operating its absolute best is between 3 and 5 hours after you've woken up. That might not be you, but a lot of studies have shown that a majority of people feel that way. They feel like they're at their best at that point. So maybe that's something also to consider. I do this show. I record this show at 9 a.m. because that's right in that window of when I feel at my absolute best and when I feel like it'd be best for you. So these are some things to consider when you're building out your productivity schedule. When am I getting up? When are my peak productivity hours? When are my peak creativity hours? When are my peak, hours for getting, just general grunt work done? Because we all have that to do as well. And just think about those things. Okay. So peak productivity hours, that's key number 2. Key number 3 is something that I got from the incredible Alex Hormozi. He's an incredible guy. If you guys don't know his YouTube channel, it's huge, it's massive, and he's a really cool dude giving lots of powerful information out. And shout out to Alex. He's amazing and big inspiration, buddy. So one of the things he talked about, and it wasn't that long ago, actually, he talked about millionaires and billionaires. And one of the things that they often do is they have a very different perspective of time than you and I do. Right? They have a very different perspective of time. And one of the things they look at is millionaires and billionaires believe, right? Or they actually practice the idea of speeding up the demand and the speed at which they respond to things. So productivity, my friends, is about getting things done. It's not about adding more actions. So dialing back a little bit, Henry Ford once defined productivity as the ability to get the same job done with less resources. And we're talking about time today. So ultimately, getting really productive means getting the same thing done that you did yesterday, but taking less time to do it. Now, that could mean using assistants. That could mean building a team. It could mean lots of different things. But ultimately, that's what productivity means. So it's not about adding more actions into an equation. Because a lot of the time, that's what we feel, right? Is if I'm going to work 8 hours, I should get as much done as humanly possible. Well, that's not about productivity. That's more about just adding more to the pile and getting more things done. Productivity is especially designed, or is especially talking about the idea of getting one thing done more efficiently and more effectively. 2 different concepts, okay? So when I'm looking at my own productivity, because that's what we're talking about today, I'm like, okay, if I have a client project, and this is what Alex Hormozi was talking about, if I've got a client project and my response time is 24 hours to 48 hours to that client, they send me a message and I respond 24 hours later, right? So if that's the productivity time, if we have to have a conversation that goes, I respond 5 times to them and they respond 5 times to me, and we're each waiting a day in between, that's 10 days. That's 10 days of time spent going back and forth to get the information correct that we need to move forward on this project, or we need to complete the project. What if that happened, or what if I was efficient in my communication so that those responses all happen in a single day? You know how I said that I only check and respond a couple times a day? So what if I took what I needed and I put that just in really efficiently into the email responses that I was talking to, or into the message, and said, these are the things that I need. And I thought about the downstream problems, so I'm not having to answer back to them all the time. And I'm just getting everything that I need right out efficiently and effectively. And I'm responding quickly. Like they send me an email in the morning. I respond a couple hours later. They answer my questions. I respond a few hours later. They answer my questions. I'm good to go. All of the information got transferred in a day. We just took 10 days and shrunk it to 1 day. 10 days shrunk it to 1 day because of communication efficiency and speed of response. So, I mean, that episode that Alex Hormozi did talk about a lot of different things. And it's really good. But that was one of the key jump out points for me was the speed at which people respond and the efficiency, the thoroughness of which they respond winds up dictating the productivity level of that whole relationship and that engagement. And I'm sure you've worked this way with a client before, where you send them a question and they take a day or two to get back to you. And in that time, you've moved on to other clients, you're doing other things, like you're just like there's other stuff happening. And it becomes an inefficient process. So a big element of productivity is quick and effective response in your communication. Okay, quick and effective response in your communication. I can't tell you how many times I've been talking with a client back and forth, and the conversation is so drawn out because of the responses that I'm getting. And before I practiced this a few years ago, the responses I was giving, because I was taking my time, I used to think that if I waited a day or two to respond, this is so silly, but it's so true, right? We all do this. Okay. If I waited a day or two to respond, it made me appear busier, less desperate that I needed to respond to them. I didn't need them as much, right? It made me feel powerful. How silly. How many more cool things could I have done in my life if I'd stopped doing that crap 18 months to 24 months ago? Right? So if you're doing that, if you're going, okay, I'll just wait a day to respond because I got other things to do. Respond efficiently and with speed, and you'll be amazed at how much more productive you can be. Because sometimes the train of conversation goes back and forth. You forget 10 days ago how you even started the chat and what you were actually talking about. You got to look back in the email chain or look back at those messages and go, okay, what was my original question here? And what was their original answer? Because it's been such a distance gap and there's so many things going on. Okay, so that's number 3, I believe. Yes, shorten your timeframes of response and be more thorough in your response. Okay, so this is productivity is so much about communication, and that's a big key. Okay, number 4, and this is one of my absolute favorites. Okay, this is a banger. This is a BAMO. Okay, for my friends, my BAMO users. Okay, scrap your to-do list. Get rid of it right now. Burn it. Okay, scrap your to-do list and just use a time schedule. You don't have a to-do list, my friends. You have a certain amount of minutes in the day. That's what you've got. And if you want to have a list of things that need to get accomplished, that's fine. But people wind up going and becoming slaves to their to-do list, and they leave their day empty, open, available, and they just start swinging things in from their to-do list. My friends, you only have one life to live. And don't you want to be happy? Like, isn't that the point of this, is to be happy? Who is happy being a slave to their to-do list? Nobody. Who's happy just constantly going, okay, what's next on my level of tasks? Nobody. Don't be at the mercy of your to-do list. Be at the mercy of your schedule. And what I really mean by this is that when you're looking at your schedule and what you have available, I find a lot of people don't realize that every single item on their to-do list takes the most precious asset that they have away from them. It consumes it, it eats it, and you never get it back. And that is your time, your attention, your presence. So what I mean by this is that when you look at your schedule and you look at this laundry list of stuff that you've got to get done, and this drives some of my clients crazy. I'm like, I don't care about the list. It doesn't matter right now. Okay. What matters is, what are you going to do between 9 and 10 a.m. today? What are you going to do between 10 and 11 a.m. today? Are any of those things on there? Then don't care about them. Because you only have this moment. You're watching this right now. You're on this channel and you're watching this right now because you want to get somewhere with your business. You're looking for another level and you're looking for some wisdom and you're hoping to squeeze it out of this little conversation that you and I are having right now. The fact of the matter is that you're investing this time into a better future you. That's what this is. And maybe you're listening to me, maybe we're in the car together. Maybe this is a podcast that you're listening to. Maybe you're just got me on the YouTube channel and it's in the background because you're doing some other work, right? That's one of the things that I do. I do bookkeeping work for my business because I like to watch what's happening with the money and I listen to stuff in the background, right? Maybe that's what this is for you right now. And if that's the case, that's great. The idea here is that you are booking in, you are scheduling in a specific activity to do something at a specific time. You can't do anything else. This is what you're doing. This is the one moment that you've got. This is it. Now it's gone. Now it's the next one. And when I realized this, and I thought, oh my gosh, I shouldn't just be going, okay, I've got all of these tasks to do. I should be looking at it going, here's the project. Here's the pieces. Here is when I'm going to be doing those pieces. Here are my clients. Here is their time slots. Here's where I'm prepping. Here's where the clients are. And I just start to, same idea as chunking, I start to dictate my schedule. The hours of my day are spoken for. Even if that means they're spoken for my family, they're spoken for. I do things with them. And of course I have free time. I'm not a robot, you guys. Of course I've got those things, right? But when it comes down to it, when I'm in work mode, I'm specific about what I'm doing and when I'm doing it so that I'm not getting distracted. Now we're not, of course it happens. Of course it happens. But I do my best. And that's what I'm asking of you. So your to-do list is not what you should be looking to every single day for your priorities. What you should be doing is building out the schedule of your dreams, the schedule you'd love to have, the schedule you'd love to lean into, and going, this is when I'm doing this, and this, it's going to be phenomenal, fabulous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Chunking that all out, and then going, I give myself over to my schedule. Because that is the thing, my friends, that's going to dictate your productivity. Focus. Focus, focus, focus. And what you'll realize is that so many things on that stress-inducing to-do list, so many things that are latching onto your brain and leaching out your energy are your to-do list. Or this laundry list of stuff that you just need to get done. You feel like you need to get done. And when you let it go and you go, no, this is where my priorities lie. When you let it go and you start to just go, I am a slave. I am in love with my schedule and where I'm placing my presence and my focus instead of this laundry list, this to-do list, this endless list of tasks. Because every day there's stuff to do, right? When you focus on those things, you'll find that the stress level goes way down, because deep down, you're only going to be leaning into the things that are going to move the needle as long as you're disciplined to your schedule. Okay. So that is the fourth one, which is be a slave to your schedule, love your schedule, build a schedule that you love, and don't worship your to-do list. Okay. The fifth and final element, and I was referring to this just a few minutes ago, is getting more productive is also about filling in the gaps, because most of the time we want to get somewhere. And when we want to get somewhere, we're busy people. Okay. I'm a busy person. You're probably a really busy person. And I thank you for taking this time out to listen today, to watch today, because you are busy. And I can appreciate that. I can empathize with that. And I love you for that, because you want to get somewhere. You want to leave this world a better place than how you found it. And to me, that's one of the driving forces in entrepreneurship in general. Okay. Is leave this world, leave my family, leave the world a better place because I was here than before I was here. And if that's the case, then you got to get better. Today, you got to be better than you were yesterday. And tomorrow, you got to be better than that. And getting better means soaking up information. And that happens in the gaps. That happens in the gaps of our day. So, for example, and you've heard this 1,000 times, if you turn your car into a personal evolution university, or the topic du jour that you love and you're interested in university class, right? If you take your car and you want to get better at marketing and you're listening or to become a better business owner, an entrepreneur, that's why you're listening to this podcast and watching this YouTube channel. If you're doing that right now and you're doing that in your car, then you're turning your car into a, business management 101, business evolution 101 course. Congratulations. Good for you. You're doing it. If you do that for 30 minutes a day, that is nearly 11,000 minutes a year. 11,000 minutes a year. We started this conversation off by going 150 minutes a day are being soaked up because you're distracted by the messaging on your phone, be it email, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whatever they all are, LinkedIn, everything. You're being distracted by these things. Well, if you use a fraction of that time, 30 minutes of that time a day, you suddenly shift from being distracted for 11,000 minutes a year to being soaking up fabulous information, to learning and evolving yourself forward, to adopting new ideas for 11,000 minutes out of the year. Think about that, stacking that up over and over and over again. It's nearly 200. That's hundreds and hundreds of hours. And you layer this in and you layer this in, you layer this in, and progress becomes inevitable. And you are being incredibly productive because you are using time that is wasted, that is misspent, that is slipping through the cracks of your life, that's sifting away from you like the sands of time blowing from the desert. You are using those precious resources, those gap minutes, 30 minutes a day, here and there, on the road, between a couple of different meetings, you've got 30 minutes and you don't have time to really jump into anything, but you do have time to load up a YouTube channel or do another, notch in that course that you've been working on. Whatever that is, you've got those time gaps. Click on your headphones, listen to your Audible, whatever it is, you've got those time gaps. And if you use them wisely, they will be the difference between Fred, who started his career 10 years ago, and Sandy, that started her career 10 years ago. The same accountants. One of them is still working in a firm, making $85,000 a year. The other one now owns a 7-figure company. Why? Because Fred didn't use his time gaps to evolve forward. Sandy did. And 10 years later, she has 110,000 minutes extra of personal evolution work that she's done and she started to implement to now build her own company. And she's starting to have the time freedom and flexibility that she's so loved. And she's only 40. She's only 35. Other than Fred, who's frustrated and going, gosh, I don't know if I want to do another 25 years of this. That's the difference, my friends. Those gaps that allows you to crank up your output level. In other words, crank up the productivity and shrink time frames. So those are the 5 things, right? Thank you so much for being on here. Those are the 5 things. So I'll just cover them one more time real quick. Time chunking, okay? Don't get distracted by things. Time chunk. I've got 3 hours here. This is exactly what I'm doing, and I'm going to stay focused. I've got 90 minutes here. I'm going to stay focused. Time chunk and group tasks in those time chunks. Okay. Number 2, find your peak productivity times. When are you at your absolute best? When can you get more done than ever? When can you get more done than any other time throughout the day? Find your peak productivity times. Number 3, shorten your response time and increase your efficiency of communication. Okay. Number 4 is scrap the to-do list and worship your schedule. Don't worry about a to-do list. Worry about your time and how long things are going to take. Okay. And number 5, fill in the gaps of your day with evolution. Fill in the gaps of your day with development. Okay. Fill in those gaps and you'll be You'll be blown away by what just 30 minutes a day can start to do over time. So those are the 5 things about how to increase your productivity as a small business owner. You can put them to work today. Do it today. You can do it today and get more out and squeeze more juice out of this day. So once again, I hope you got great value out of this. Thank you so much for watching. If you hit the like, hit the subscribe button, that would be perfect. We're just getting this YouTube channel rocking and rolling here. So the more subscribers and more likes, the better. And it really helps the YouTube algorithm. So thank you so much for that. Once again, my name is Michael Bridgman. You can find out more about what we do at michaelbridgman.ca. So michaelbridgman.ca, you'll see that scrolling across here in just a moment. But I just want to say thank you so much for spending this 30 odd minutes with me today. It's been a pleasure and it's been a blast. I hope this is valuable to you. I hope you got great juice out of this. And once again, have a wonderful, wonderful day, my friends, and have fun, be more, and love lots. Ciao for now.